What's going on, guys? Hit pause here with a very quick tip and tutorial about how to get your PBR materials out of Substance Painter and get them into UE4 correctly. So the answer to the whole thing, if you don't want to watch the video, is you need to make sure that your any of your roughness and metallic textures are set to the type of masks in UE4. That's the answer. So if you just that's all you were looking for, there it is. Okay, so I'm just going to demo it, basically, show you guys the difference here. So I'm going to make a simple object here, I don't know, something like this. Let's go ahead and give it a quick unwrap. Okay, all we really need to do is take that and make that planar in the Z, and then we'll just go ahead and pack it together like so. About like that, and I just don't want to have anything breaching the padding border on the sides, and that's it. That's all we're going to do. So we'll go ahead and export this. Let's just do it on the desktop. I'll call it cylinder. We want it FBX. Okay, just hit okie doke there, and then we'll come into Substance Painter. Let's create a new scene here. Select, go to desktop, and let's grab the cylinder. Make it a 1024. We don't really need it crazy or anything like that. No need to spend any time on it. Okay, so here's our cylinder, and what we're going to do is we're going to give it two materials. We're going to give it one very very metallic and one that's very not. So we'll kill this first layer and then we'll add a new one. So the base layer will be our metal, and let's just pick some metal here. We'll go with the metal weapon. That should put that on everything. And you'll notice that this is actually a relatively rough metal. If I were to take the metal roughness and put that all the way down, you can see it becomes very mirror, very chrome-like. So we're actually going to stick that at about 0.5. Notice at 0.5 how dull it actually becomes. Okay, so actually this is very important here. These values are being accurate is what we're trying to achieve. So our next material is going to be something that's very dull, so we're going to go with a uniform rubber, and the uniform rubber is actually going to be a full, we'll say like 0.95 or something roughness there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and split this into two segments. So we'll throw in a black mask there, and then we'll hit 4, and we'll go by faces and we'll remask that in like so. So half the cylinder is rubber, half the cylinder is metal, and that's all we're going to do to it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to export all channels, and let's go and let's just say go to the desktop, we'll make a new folder, we'll call this cylinder images like that. Okay, and we'll select that folder. Let's pick our configuration here. So we want PBR metal rough. Okay, so we get base color, roughness, metallic, normal, and height. Now we really don't need the height. So what I'm going to do is we'll just stick with that. So we'll hit OK there, and then we hit come to export, and I actually want this to be a Photoshop file, so it's all in one image. Okay, so we export that, and that's going to go through. Export is done. That's finished. I need to open up Photoshop. Let's go ahead while that's opening and come here to the desktop, and we'll come all the way up here to the cylinder, and let's see the first person blueprint here. We'll throw it in meshes with everything else, so we'll just throw that in there. That will come up, and then we'll say import, and we can drag that into the scene and make it a little bit bigger like so. Okay, so there's our cylinder. Okay, well, while that's going, we'll swap over to here. So now we'll open and we'll go to recent places, and we'll say that's really not a recent place. So we'll go to the desktop, and we want that that folder, so it's cylinder images, and we'll open up this PSD file, and you'll see all of the channels are here. So we got the normal map, metallic, roughness, height. We don't, well, we'll keep it as such. So this is my method of doing it. What I do is I have now swapped away from using any alpha channels in my textures, except for anything other than transparency, and I'll show you guys why. So we have the base color as our top layer, so I'm just going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to make this cylinder textures, okay, and we'll call this base color. Let's just do it like that. And we're going to do a TGA. Okay, now you'll notice I can't pick TGA, and the reason for that is because this is a 16-bit image. That's what gets saved out of here. It does a Photoshop 16-bit. TGA is an 8-bit image format, so we're going to go to Image Mode 8 bits, and now we're going to save, and we'll call this Sil base color, and TGA is now available, so we save that. We want this 24 bits. We're not using an alpha channel. And the next one I'm going to do is the normal map. So we're going to come here, just going to change this to TGA, so I can click here, and I'm going to call this NM for normal map. Save 24-bit again. Okay, now we're going to create our masks images. So we have height, roughness, and metallic, and what I actually want to do is do it in this order here: roughness, metallic, then height. And the reason for that is just because that's the order I've been using. So what we're going to do is, in order to combine these, we need to get all of this information and stick it on one channel each. Now we need a texture, we need a layer to do that too. So we're going to add a new layer, and we're going to fill that. We're going to hit D just to make sure we go back to default colors, and we're going to fill with black. Okay, so we hold Alt, and that will isolate this image, and we're just going to Control click the RGB channel here over on channels. We come back here and re-show it. Go to the red channel only, just click it single, and we're going to fill that with white. For me, that is Control backspace. Okay, then we're going to come back here and we're going to show this layer, and we're going to grab the RGB, and we're going to go back to this layer here, and we're going to throw that on the green channel. Okay, then we're going to come back to the height, go to the channels. It's going to tell us there's nothing really visible, and we're okay with that. Re-show this layer, and now we're going to fill that in. And it's pretty, there's not a lot of information in here, but there is some. So we're not going to use these channels, or all of them, or anything like that, but we want to have them. So we're going to save that. We're going to go TGA here, come back in here, and we're actually going to just call this one M or Mat. For material attributes is kind of the way I think of this. Okay, so this is going to be Sil M. So we just hit OK, and again 24 bits. So let's get these images into UE4. See, is that showing up? Yes, it is. Go to textures, and we're going to grab these guys, and we're going to bring them in. There we go. Okay, so we're going to create a new material really quickly. Materials. I don't care what I named it. So we're going to make a new material here, and it's going to be cylinder test. Okay, I'm going to pop that open. We're going to get our mesh. The reason we're using this mesh and not this mesh is because the mesh that we have is split down the middle, and the UVs are set up correctly. Okay. So there's the mesh. Let's grab those textures. We get all three of them. Just shift click, and we can drag them up and wait until it swaps, and then we can let it go. Come here, drop that there, drop that there, drop that there. This should be the normal. This should be the M. This should be the diffuse color. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook these two up first. And all I'm going to do is demonstrate the roughness channel for now. Okay, you notice I have an even roughness across the surface. All I have, the only difference is the color. So now the roughness is our red channel, and we're going to throw that in. Okay, notice something here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I'm lost. There you are. This is really acting crazy. Notice how reflective this actually is. Okay, you can actually see some reflection. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this material really quick. And let's go ahead and take it, and let's just stick it on here. Notice, if you look here, it's quite reflective. You can see this text right here being reflected in my reflection. You can see everything else. But if you look in the PBR stuff over here in the substance painter, you can see that even on the very edge it's very flat. Like there's not a lot of reflection. There's a slight amount, but really not a ton. So the reason that we're having an issue here is because these values in our particular texture right here are actually completely wrong. If I look at the red channel, it's actually much brighter or much darker than it needs to be. Now in this case with the white, it's a little iffy as to whether or not there's much of a change. But in any kind of image where there is a lot of stuff changed, this actually is important. This gray is not the same gray that is here in the roughness channel. So if I go roughness, oops, I didn't want to do that, but they're actually a little bit different. So the way that you fix it is you simply go to the texture and you change it to compression setting masks. Okay, and we'll save it. Now it's immediately going to probably take us straight to the material. If not, there'll be an error in the material. It didn't take us straight there, but there is an error in the material because this is actually reading sampler type as color. Now the sampler type is actually here. So if I were to bring this texture in again to here and let it go, you can see the sampler type is actually masks. And this one won't give me any errors. But the other way to fix that is just to simply change the sampler type. So we just change it to masks. As long as it matches whatever the actual type is. Notice how much immediately it got dimmer or less reflective. Now if we take a look here, we may see a little bit still, but actually in fact we don't see any. There's no reflection in this surface. This value is now officially identical to the value here. Okay, so if you are having issues with your PBR materials coming out of, say, Substance or even DDO or Quixel, and you're getting much more reflectivity on your object than you feel like you should. By the way, another thing that needs to be done here is obviously we need to get the metallic in there, like so. The height could maybe go into ambient occlusion, but like I said, I don't really have any use for it. So once that becomes metallic, we'll see a pretty much more of a dramatic change here on this. But like I said, so that's the answer. So here we have a very metallic, dull, finished aluminum style slash steel slash something, kind of pitted and whatnot. But the roughness values, because I kept it very rough, are actually virtually identical to what we have in our setup inside of Substance. And that is the answer. It is TC masks. You need that. So that's it. That's all I need to tell you guys, and hopefully you guys found that useful. And I wouldn't say this was an entertaining one, but this caught me off guard for a while. It really did. Like, it took me I have known about this for weeks, like literally weeks now, but I haven't gotten around to making a tutorial for it. And I was just making a new asset, and I was like, you know what? It was such a pain in the ass when I couldn't figure out why my values weren't matching. I would take them out of Substance and bring them in here. And I asked on the Answer Hub, I asked Substance guys, I asked everybody, and nobody knew what the hell was going wrong. And I finally figured it out. It's just, simply setting it to masks. Now there's something weird here. You've got like sRGB. If you're using alpha channels individually as masks, should be unchecked. So TC masks may for all I know just simply uncheck this. However, that was one of the answers that was given to me by the Substance guys and by the Epic people, and they were saying, well, you got to make sure the sRGB is not checked for any of your roughness and stuff like that. And when your roughness is in the alpha channel, okay, when it's in the alpha channel for your diffuse texture, you can't exactly uncheck sRGB, because if you do that, then you screw up your diffuse colors, right? They become linear colors when you want them to be sRGB. So what you could do in that case, kind of the only thing you could do, would be to duplicate it out as a masks version. So if your roughness is in your like albedo or your base color or your diffuse color texture, and it's embedded in the alpha channel there. My suggestion would be to just pull it out, go into Photoshop, strip it out, make it its own texture. But like I said, if that's not feasible or something, or you don't want to do that, I would just duplicate it here and change it to TC masks, and that will actually work. So there you have it. Hopefully you guys found that useful and informative, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And my next video will probably be an update on the progress of rats, so look out for that if you're interested, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. HitPaw signing off.